Hello children, I am Christina. Welcome to the National Literacy Agency online storytelling. Għidli Storja, tell me a story. Today I am going to tell you a folk tale, and the name of the tale is The 7 Enchanted Grapefruits. Once upon a time there was a king and a queen. They hoped for children for a very long time, but they had none. One day, the king made a vow that if they had children, he would build a fountain, a very special fountain that would spring oil instead of water for the whole kingdom. 1 year passed, and the queen gave birth to a beautiful son. The king kept his promise, and in the city square he built the very special fountain. The whole kingdom went to the fountain and filled as much oil as they required. Years and years and years passed, and the oil reserve now diminished, and the oil was trickling down in droplets. The prince became a fine lad. He was once in the city square, watching a very old woman filling half an eggshell with oil, waiting patiently, drop after drop. He thought it was very amusing, so he picked up a stone and he tossed it over the eggshell. The eggshell broke, and the little oil was lost. The old woman was angry. She was so angry, and she shouted, "You scoundrel! How I wish you would marry one of the girls in the 7 Enchanted Grapefruits." The prince had never heard anything about grapefruits before, about girls inside the grapefruit, and he wanted to know more. But the old lady wouldn't talk to him. He walked at her pace, and he was asking her about the grapefruit. Tell me about the 7 enchanted grapefruits. Tell me about the girls inside. Where do I find them? Tell me more about the grapefruit. He pestered her so much until she said, "You would have to leave the city. Go and find the old wise man with a beard as long as his chest. He will tell you about the 7 enchanted grapefruits. But remember, you need to greet him with these words: Peace be with you." And the prince left the city without any hesitation, and he walked until he met the wise old man with a beard as long as his chest, and he remembered. "Peace be with you, Grandpa. I am looking for the 7 enchanted grapefruit." "Ah, I'm glad you greeted me well. Had you not, I would have heaved you up and swallowed you whole. The 7 enchanted grapefruit. Many were those who came before you. Many were those who went to look for them, but none of them came back. But I will still tell you what you need to do. You need to walk and walk until you find a much older man, a much wiser old man, with a beard as long as the ground, folded in a bundle. And the prince thanked the wise old man. And he walked until his legs, until his feet ached. And under a carob tree there was an old wise man with a beard so long it came to the ground and was folded in a bundle. He remembered. "Peace be with you, Grandpa. I am looking for the 7 enchanted grapefruits." "Ah, I'm glad you greeted me well," he croaked. "Had you not, I would have heaved you up and swallowed you whole." "Ah, the 7 enchanted grapefruit. Many were those who came before you. Many were those who went to look for them, but none of them came back. Come beside me and listen to me well." And the prince sat down beside the wise old man under the carob tree. And the wise old man told him that he would come to a pond with stagnant water. And he told him, "This is what you should say. Peace be with you, O pond with the sweetest water. Had I not been in a hurry, I would drink your sweet water." And the prince nodded. He also told him that he would come to a tree with swarms and swarms of flies. He told him to go under the branches and say, "Peace be with you, O tree. Had I not been in such a hurry, I would eat your sweet fruit," and walk away. And the prince nodded. He also told him that he would come to a dog and a donkey. The dog would be eating hay, and the donkey would be eating a bone. He told him not to say anything, but to swap the food. Give the donkey the hay, and give the dog the bone, and walk away. And the prince nodded. He told him that he would meet a servant cleaning a furnace with her hair. He told him to tell her not to clean the furnace with her hair, but to use half of his cloak, and to call her a fine, sweet lass. And the prince nodded. He told him about the house with the green door, guarded by 2 lions. He warned him, if the lions had their eyes closed, he was not to knock on the door. But if their eyes were wide open, that was the time they were sleeping, and that was the time he could knock on the green door. He told him that a woman would come, and he should tell her about the 7 enchanted grapefruit. He told him that she would say she's going to bring them from the kitchen, but the grapefruits were on a shelf on top of the door. Just take the grapefruits from the shelf. She will go to the kitchen to sharpen her teeth and eat you. Run away with the grapefruit. Run away." And the prince nodded. He watched the lions, and their eyes were closed, so he didn't do anything. When the lions opened their eyes, he hurried to the green door, and rat-a-tat-tat, the woman came out. "I came for the 7 enchanted grapefruit," he said. "Yes, I will get them for you from the kitchen." He knew she was going to sharpen her teeth. He turned, looked up, and from the shelf above the door, he took the 7 enchanted grapefruits, and he ran as fast as he could. The lady came out, and she knew that he took away the 7 enchanted grapefruits. And she shouted, "Lions! Lions! Get him! Get him!" But the lions said, "We never saw anybody come in. We never saw anybody leaving." And the woman ran, and she ran to the servant. "Run after him! Get him! Roast him in your furnace! He took away the 7 enchanted grapefruit." "Oh, no, I won't," said the servant. "He called me a fair lass." And the woman ran. She ran to the dog and to the donkey. She told the dog to bite him. She told the donkey to kick him. "Oh, no, I won't," said the dog. "He gave me a bone." "Oh, no, I won't," said the donkey. "He gave me hay." And the woman ran, and she ran to the tree with the swarm of flies. "Flies! Flies! Go to him! Sting him! Sting him!" "Oh, no, they won't," said the tree. "He said he would eat my sweet fruit, had he not been in a hurry." And the pond would not drown the prince, because he said he would drink its sweet water. The prince ran and ran, and he was safe. He couldn't wait to see what was in the grapefruits, and he opened a grapefruit in half, and out of the grapefruit came a beautiful girl wrapped up in her own fair hair. But she said, "Hungry, hungry, thirsty, thirsty," and she fell down dead and became ashes. And that is what happened to the 2nd and the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th and the 6th girl in the grapefruit. Now the prince had to think hard. He had only 1 grapefruit left, and he prepared food, all the food that he could find around. Prickly pears, figs, carrots. He even found a fresh spring of water, and he prepared water. He took the grapefruit and opened it in half, and out of the grapefruit came out a most beautiful girl, the fairest of the 7. hungry, hungry. Eat, 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 encouraged the prince. Eat the food I have prepared for you. Drink the fresh water I have prepared for you. And she ate, and she drank, and she was safe. And the prince was so happy, and he took her hand, and they left the place. They came to this tree, with a spring just nearby, and the prince wanted to take her to the palace, but she was naked. She was wrapped in her own hair. So he said he would go to the palace and tell the whole story to his father, and he would come back with a beautiful dress. He also told her that he loved her and that he wanted to marry her. So he asked her to wait for him in the tree. And so she did. And as she was waiting, a servant came to take some water from the spring. As she reached down for the water, she saw the reflection. The reflection was of the girl in the tree, but the servant thought it was her own. "Oh, I never knew I'm so pretty." And the girl in the tree laughed. The servant looked up, and she saw the most beautiful girl. "Can I climb up beside you? Maybe I can comb your hair." "Yes, please do." And the servant was in the tree, combing the girl's hair, listening to her story. And when she heard her story, she was jealous. She took out an enchanted pin, and she stuck the pin in her head. And the beautiful girl became a dove and flew away. The prince came back with the most beautiful dress, and the servant shouted, "What took you so long? What took you so long? Look what happened to me. I'm not as beautiful as I was before. Look what the sun has made to me." And the prince was astonished. He didn't know what to do. But a promise is a promise. He told her he loved her. He promised he'd marry her. So he had to take her to the palace. All the people in the palace looked at the girl, and they said, "She's not as beautiful as the prince said she was. I wonder what he saw in her." And so did the king, but the king never spoke a word. Well, they were getting married. That was the day. And on the day, a dove pegged on the window pane. Peck, peck, peck. And the servant looked at the prince. "We're getting married. Let it be. Let it be." But the prince got up, and he opened the window, and in flew the dove and sat on his shoulder. And the prince stroked her head and stroked her head, and he could feel a prickly spike, and he just pulled it slowly, and out came an enchanted pin. And the dove became the beautiful girl that was in the grapefruit, and she told him all the story of how the servant went up in the tree, and she stuck the pin in her head. And now the king was furious, and he was very, very mad. A servant you were, and a servant you will be again. And she remained a servant for her whole life. The prince married the beautiful girl, and they were so very happy together. He, like his father, wanted to make something very special for the whole kingdom, and he built a fountain that could spring oil instead of water for the whole kingdom. I do hope you enjoyed the story. Try and remember the steps and tell the tale to somebody else. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye for now.